And who are you?
Scott Tartaglia. I guess I'm their old boss. Every no gets you closer to a yes, right? We used to say that all the time. Certain people want their table set a certain way. So as a closer, there's certain things you want done. And if you have that synergy with the person that you're working with, they know how to set your table, which is going to increase your overall closing rate. The biggest thing to me to being a great salesperson, not a good salesperson, is you have to master being a chameleon. You have to be able to figure out who you're talking to and adjust on the fly in seconds to be able to match that person. People will give you that extra 3 to 5 seconds to talk, which is really the difference between getting a chance to get the pitch out and getting hung up on in the first 7 seconds.
If I sent out 10 emails, I got 3-4 responses.
Yes. So you have to be able to text. You have to be able to hit people with social media. You have to use a multi-channel marketing approach to actually attract clients. You can't just rely on the old school days of pounding the phone. That is much smaller percentage of sales nowadays. You have to be able to nurture people and not come across as that used car salesman that needs the deal today.
I missed the one call close.
I do too.
There's no high like a one call.
It's not impossible. You're listening to the Uptown Girls podcast. I'm your host, Martina Barley. Let's talk.
I remember having a lot of middle of the pack people, and I would say it's probably standard across any team is that you're going to have 10 to maybe 20% is like excellent.
Yeah.
And then you have a big middle ground, and then you have your pigeons.
Yes.
How do you keep the middle ground motivated when there's people above them that they know they're never going to catch? Like not just in competition, but in general, like a salesperson or really any person is going to get very defeated being beat every single time.
Yes.
Especially if there's no real reason why.
Yes.
So how do you manage that middle pack?
It's very difficult. And if I could go back years, one of the things I would have done is I would have fired quicker. For sure. Right? Because you don't want those people. Like if they truly don't believe that they could ever get up there, you probably want to cut them. Right? Like I'm not joking. I know that's really harsh. And again, this world that we live in nowadays, oh my God. Right? But it's true because what will happen is now all of a sudden the whole middle team is like, I hate the top people. Actually, you don't want them to hate the top people. You want them to look up to the top people. Right? So the other thing is empower your top people to do other things. Help them teach, do other things where they can make additional money. And now all of a sudden you start to see it just kind of mix a little bit more, but it is one of the hardest things to do. You're always going to have the top 10%. You're always going to be there, but you got to encourage the other 80%, 90% that you can get there. And this is how you get there and show examples, right? I wish if I could go back, I would have shown more people how the top people got to where they were, not just let them see the numbers, but this is the work they had to put in. Most of the time, they just think they got handed it. And in reality, that wasn't the case at all, right? A lot of people, Martina, for example.
I was just going to say, I want you to go into that more because that was such a specific situation. And I feel like there's a lot of our clients have these sales teams and may have a similar dynamic where what happened with me is people really did feel like I was handed a lot of things. So why did that happen? And how did you kind of tell everybody to basically shut up about it?
Yeah, basically, I mean, back then I was so much more aggressive. I didn't, as soon as they brought it up, they would never bring it up to me. They always talked about it behind my back.
So here's what happened.
Yeah.
What happened is I was the assistant sales manager. We had a slow week. I went out on the sales floor and started selling. Yep. And it was very obvious that the company needed me to sell. I wanted to sell. You needed me to sell. It just made sense.
Yes.
When that happened, when I transitioned to a sales rep and I was no longer a manager, Scott and I had this very close management relationship together.
Yeah.
So when there was extra things, extra accounts with no account manager, here you go, here you go. So you did hand me a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But why did you hand me a lot?
Well, here's the thing. People don't realize that she sat in an office, Martina sat in an office right next to me for a long time. And she wanted to learn. So you always wanted to learn. I remember I made a call as a quality control manager one time, and you came out of her office, sat right there and go, oh my God, how did you just do that? I want to do another one. Yeah. And I could tell she got addicted to it. Was like, I want to be able to figure out how you just did that, right? So I immediately knew she was willing to put in the work. So most people that complain about not getting the opportunity that you did also weren't sitting there at 6 o'clock at night, 6:30 at night, 7 o'clock at night, putting in the work that you put in. So part of why I gave Martina, was I knew she would take care of the client. So that was number one, right? So I knew she actually cared. And I saw a tiger, right? There was something brewing in there that I knew if I gave her an opportunity, she would take it and run with it. And that's exactly what she did. Where other people just wanted handouts. And I always say this, so everybody wants to be a millionaire, right? But only about 10% of people will actually be willing to put in the work to become a millionaire. They all want to become a millionaire. Mm-hmm. So I used to do this on a whiteboard. Give somebody an $80,000 base, 40 hours a week, no pressure, no stress, nice cushy job. Then you have the second side. You make $1.5 million. But you're working 70 hours a week. You're constantly stressed. You're constantly, having to go. Most people would say, well, I would take the $1 million. Only about 5% of people would actually be able to do it. So in reality, most people would rather have the cushy, comfortable job and not put in the extra work to go to the next level. So you have to be able to identify those people, right? So again, that's about being a leader, not just saying, oh, I like Martina and yeah, Martina was great and all that, but I could also tell that you had another level in you. So it was my job as your boss to give you that opportunity.
So how does somebody identify somebody that is going to take opportunities and make the most of them? And then how do you manage the rest of the team saying, well, that's not fair. Why didn't I get this? Yeah.
It's, again, one of the hardest things, but you have to see who's willing to put in the extra work. So I know that seems simple, but you have to see, without asking, who's willing to go to the next level just because they see that it's needed, right? Where most people are like, oh, yeah, we're not hitting sales. Cool, it's 5:01, I'm out. Right? Where a top salesperson's like, hey, I'm not hitting my goal. I might have to work till 6 tonight. I might have to work till 7, but I'm also going to be able to leave at 2 when I am hitting my goal. So it goes back to attitude and activities again. Who's got the right mindset and who's willing to put in the work? When it comes to managing the team, I wouldn't say I was soft back then. I don't think that would be the right word.
No.
I basically would try to scare people away. Right? It was kind of like a common thing, right? I'd have a training class and it was like, how many trainees are going to go to lunch and never come back?
Yeah.
And I took pride in that. I'm like, good. I weeded them out. They're gone because they didn't belong here in the first place. So you have to be willing to lose. You can't try to keep everybody because then you're just saying, oh, right, we're all going to win together. No, you have to find the right people and be willing to push away the wrong people.
Wow. I still don't know how I made it through my training when I first
Come on, Andrew, you're tough.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, here's the thing. With you, just to be straight up, I could tell that you, even though you didn't have the skill, right? You didn't have the skill. I'm just being real, right? She had no clue what the hell she was doing.
I used to just hang up the phone.
Yeah, she's like, she had a really good attitude. And you could tell that her activity was there. She was the right person for the bus, but she was in the wrong seat, right? So that's kind of what I realized with her is, yes, I want her on my team, but the seat I have her on the bus, that's not the right seat. Kind of like with you, right? You were good at being the assistant manager, right? But you weren't great at it because it's not what you really wanted to do, right? And when I saw you get your sales opportunity, I knew right away, as much as it drove me insane that I was going to lose her, I knew it was the right decision. And then I was blessed enough that you brought me your older sister. And then I'm like, okay, cool. I got best of both worlds now. And I was a happy man again.
So you're not afraid to kind of play chess with your team.
You have to, right? Yeah. And you got to think ahead. Just like chess, right? Checkers is like 2 moves ahead. Chess is like 8 moves ahead. Mm-hmm. I got to already know how this person's going to respond and I need to test them. And some people are like, well, I don't want to lose them. Too bad. If I lose them, good. Guess what? I didn't waste any more time trying to make somebody something that they're not.
Yeah, because that is really exhausting. Something that I've heard before is longevity does not equal loyalty. And just because somebody's been around a long time doesn't mean they're actually loyal to your business and your goals and you and
oh, that's correct.
All that.
Mm-hmm.
I had a person recently I put a lot of pressure on that had been there a long time. And finally it all came out, right? Basically, I'm a clown, called me every word in the book. The younger Scott would have probably walked outside with him, right? the older Scott just kind of laughed. And I'm like, good.
Yeah.
Finally figured out, right? So you're absolutely correct. I call it a foxhole too. Who do you want in your foxhole? So if you don't know what a foxhole is, go watch a Vietnam War, right? Like it's you and one other person and the army's coming at you. Who you don't want to worry about that person running out the back end because things are getting tough.
Mm-hmm.
So who do you want in your foxhole? Who do you want in your trenches with you? And if you don't feel like you can count on them 100%, then you need to start challenging them to either weed them out or find out maybe, okay, they are somebody that I want in my foxhole.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't be afraid to lose people.
Yeah. Okay, let's try to give us 5 minutes or less on what makes a good closer, how to identify them, and then how to train them and kind of keep them motivated.
Yeah. So a good closer is always going to want money, right? Like, so there's no doubt about that. You have to have a compensation plan that gives them the carrot, right? So I think it comes down to a comp plan first when attracting a good closer. If they're asking you about the base in the interview, that's already a sign to me that they're not the right person. I've never negotiated my base. I've always negotiated my commissions, right? So that's the first sign. What's most important to them? Well, if the base is all they seem to really care about and they're not asking questions about the commissions, that's a really good sign that they don't even believe in themselves, right? Yeah. So I like to start there. Somebody that likes to focus on commissions. When I left, the 8 years company with you guys, the media company, I was making a lot of money, but I took a $40,000 base at a new job, but because I was going to make so much commission and I wanted to reprove myself, not only to that company, but even to myself a little bit, that I was still that dog and I was still a top guy because it'd been 4 years since I had been actively selling. So I think it comes down to you got to have the right comp plan. You can't be willing to bend, right? So, I'm going to give them $100,000 base because they're just so good.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? If that's what they need to start and they're not willing to bet on themselves, that's number one, right? So I think it's identifying what really motivates them. A great closer wants to be paid on commission. They don't want to be paid a cushy base, right? Because I'd rather say I can make $300,000 this year by going out and being the top guy than getting $100,000 cushy base, right? So I would say that's number one. Number two, mindset. Like they have to be strong, right? Like they have to be able to deal with adversity. So I always like to ask people in the interview, tell me something that's happened to you in your life that you felt at the lowest point that you were able to build yourself through. I want the whole story. Give it to me, right? And if they can't come up with something and they don't have anything that they've had to deal with adversity, that's a really bad sign, right? Because a great closer has to be able to overcome adversity. So I like to mentally strong, somebody that's motivated by money, right? But performing, not just being given something, right? So I think that comes down to it. And then training, you have to lead them. You can't just throw somebody into the deep end. I would say this, 1% of people, myself, Martina, people like that can just get thrown in. They'll find a way to close. But most people, you have to have a process in place. You have to show them, hey, get really good at this and then get really good at this. And this is going to start to equal this. And then not only tell them that, but then go out and do it. So I always like to say to a closer, watch me, listen to me. Do you think you could do that? If they're like, God, no. All right, you're not a closer, right? If they're like, yeah, how do I get there? That's who I want to work with. So somebody that's willing to learn and has that learning mindset and is willing to bet on themselves, right?
So you're very big on the player coach style where you're still playing and saying, look what I can do, you can do it too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the best way because I had leaders that would try to tell me how to do my job that I knew damn well they could not do my job. Right?
Had they ever.
Yeah, or they'd never have, or if they did, they were mediocre. And the mistake a lot of these big corporate companies make is they take a below average salesperson and they make them the manager. Well, guess what? That's never going to get a top person because they're going to look at that manager and say, you can't even do what I do, so go away, right? There was managers I had, I'm like, please go away, go talk to the underperformers, get out of my face, right? Because that's just how I responded to people that I knew couldn't do my job. My greatest mentors were also great salespeople.
Yeah.
Right? So I think the player coach, the other thing is, having other players, right? So you got to show them success. So if you're just starting a company, that's why I believe lead. Go show, and then bring in somebody that you know has the right mindset and the same mindset as you. And then now they start to excel. So you have what is called success stories, right? And you can show. How many times in an interview would we show, look at how much money Martina made today? We'd show them today and they're just like, or they'd be like, how's that possible?
Mm-hmm.
You can start to figure it out. And you have to read in between the lines. Everybody's going to sell you on the interview. You have to be able to understand what they're really saying. Not the words that are coming out of their mouth, but what are they really saying? And that's something you can only become good at by being in sales at some point yourself.
Do you remember the question we used to ask people in every interview?
If you were an animal, I still ask it every single interview I do. Still to this day.
We really got to bring that
right? I love it because, well, here's why I love it. It makes people think quick on their feet. In sales, you have to be able to, I can't give you every response scripted, right?
Right.
That's I'm going to script it out and you're, okay, so you want a robot.
And you would get those people, they'll be like, wow, if I were an animal, what would I be? Let me think. Oh, man. I don't, can I get,
Can I have 5 minutes?
like,
right? No, right? Or, we had one guy, I think Carly, you were in this interview, he goes, a dog. And I was like, and here's the thing, it wasn't about the animal to me. It was about why the animal. Right. I've had
because you ask why too.
Yeah, absolutely. Why that animal? And I had some people loyal. They're going to do whatever it takes. Right. And I'm going to be there for you. Okay. Good answer. I had another guy say, well, they get to eat and sleep all day.
Yes.
And literally, we walked him out of the interview immediately.
Goodness.
We were like, have a good day. Right. Like, get out of here. And I still use Martina's response. I still bring it up sometimes. One of the, if not the best response I've ever heard. Right. She said, a swan. And I said, why? Beautiful and elegant on the outside, right? I was like, all right, fair enough. All right, keep going, right? But she's like, but underneath, just making shit happen. And I'm like, wow, that was really good. And it was, I actually felt like she got prepared. It was so good. I'm like, did somebody tell her I was going to ask her that question? But yeah, you got to ask them off the wall questions that they're not used to being at. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Like, come on, everybody asks that question, right? So I think we found that question about the animal just going out on Google looking, and I go, I really like that. And I started doing it, and I still do it to this day. So probably 12 years I've been asking that question.
It really does, like you said, say a lot by their why.
Yeah.
And getting people to think on their feet. I feel like, remember we interviewed somebody recently, Carla and I, where it felt like every question we asked her was a 5-minute pause. And we were like, is this what it would be like to employ you? Like, everything we say to you is like, you have this long processing time. Yeah. It's exhausting. What's the first thing you notice in an interview?
Eye contact. So I like to see, are they afraid to look at me? Right. If they can't make eye contact with me, it already kind of tells me their personality a little bit. And the handshake. I know it's old school, but you give me that soft, limpy handshake thing. I don't care if you're a male or female. It doesn't matter to me. It starts to tell me who you are as a person. So you don't have confidence. So there's a difference between confidence and cocky, right? If we went back to when I first met you two, right? You'd probably say the same thing too. Most people would say he's cocky, right? I probably was, right? A little bit cocky. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have somebody be a little bit cocky and have that true confidence in themselves than somebody that, just they don't believe in themselves. If they don't believe in themselves, there's nothing you're going to be able to do most of the time to get them to believe in themselves.
Well, that is literally the next question I have is, what's harder to coach? Someone with no confidence or someone with too much ego?
I would say no confidence. Yeah, because the ego, you can always bring it down. I used to say I'm going to knock him down a couple pegs. I don't know if you remember that. You probably remember that too. I'm going to pull this guy in. I'm going to knock his ass down.
Sure do.
And I'm going to make sure he understands, like, dude, you ain't up here. You're like, okay, you're doing well. And again, that's where you got to figure out how to talk to each individual. And I just didn't care about their feelings, right? Like it kind of was like, hey, this is a job. I'm your friend. We'll go have a beer. We can go have lunch, all that. But when it comes to here, you better believe in yourself and you better be strong mentally, or I just don't really have time to waste with you.
Yeah. What's your favorite sales movie or book? Well, I know what movie you're going to say. What's your favorite sales book?
I mean, so Wolf of Wall Street is obviously the newest one, right? And I think it was also because literally that movie came out and my phone blew up. Like, everybody started calling me. I hadn't even seen the movie yet. Everybody's like, oh my God, this is you. This is you, right? Like, outside of the dancing midgets, which I was like, okay, can we do that?
Yeah, literally.
So Wolf of Wall Street was always, but Glenn Ross was my favorite old school movie. Very direct, aggressive. That was my style. And those were my mentors too, right? They would push me. And as good as I was, they always pushed me to be better. And and as soon as they seen me slacking, they would make sure to let me know that, right? And that's why I always appreciated them, right? One of my greatest mentors, he never held his tongue. He would tell me. He literally cursed me out. And then 5 minutes later come in and be like, I love you, bro. I love you, right? But at least I knew he was being real. You don't want to double talk your team, where when they come out of the room, they're like, what was he really trying to say to me? If that's the case, that means you're not being direct enough. And that usually causes people to have friction with you where they're not going to follow you and you're probably going to lose them.
Mm-hmm. Favorite sales book? I know you like to read.
Yeah. Well, when I got into real estate, the one by Gary Keller, the one there was a great book because, people don't know Keller Williams became like one of the biggest brokerages out there. So that was a great book to read. I would say it's tough for me to say I have a favorite book. I have more of styles, right? So like my style, again, a chameleon, but I used to be super, super aggressive. You'd probably say I've calmed down a lot.
I tell the girls that all the time.
I've learned to calm down, but you have to be able to, how would I say it, adjust to, again, the person that you're dealing with. So I have a rep that if I don't scream at him, it doesn't register, right? So I don't know if I necessarily have a favorite book. Even the show is, my favorite line is coffee's for closers, right? Like I still say it all the time. So that would be probably my favorite line.
Oh wait, there was something you just said I wanted to go back to, and now I've already lost my train of thought. Okay, this is actually a question. This is not me fishing.
Okay.
And I want you to answer it honestly.
Yeah.
Who was the best salesperson you ever worked with?
Outside of myself. No,
outside of yourself.
The two of you.
Yeah.
She totally
knock them down a
put
couple
me on the
notches.
spot here, for sure. I would say that I worked with Martina, I've always said would be up in the top 1, 2, or 3 for sure. I've never denied that or argued that. So I would say you would definitely be up at the top there. There's a gentleman I probably wouldn't mention that, I think I helped a decent amount, that did fencing or something stupid. So he'd never done sales before. Mike Guilfoyle. I would have to put up there as well. Mike Guilfoyle naturally was probably one of the best sales guys I ever worked with. We called each other partners. So he came in, I think a month after I did, to the media company there. And immediately we were both top 2 sales reps. And then if I had to pick one, I think I can say his name, Hassan Solomon. I know you never got to meet him. I wish you would have.
Do you think he's a better salesperson than me?
He's the best closer I've ever worked with in my life.
Really?
Yeah, he's the only one that I truly believe if me and him battled it out, he would bring the best out of me. Yeah. Like
God, I would smoke you.
Yeah. I don't think so. But hey, here's the thing. Like I said, in 22 years of doing this, there's no doubt I would put you above Guilfoyle.
Well, actually, I want to go back to those 2 people. We won't mention the one name because he's still in our field and just don't even want to give him that.
Yeah.
But that person is somebody that came in with, I would say, no natural talent, but a very hard worker, very good at learning and adapting and kind of, he studied a lot of what he was selling, studied his customer a lot. So really put the work in, but didn't have the natural talent. And then you have Gilly, who is just all natural talent.
All natural talent.
And didn't put the work in.
He didn't put in any work.
He didn't put in any work.
Correct.
So which one of those do you want on your team if you have to pick one?
I feel like you can't teach work ethic, right?
Yeah.
So work ethic's either there or not, right? So you can help somebody get better at talent, right? So I look at you with that, right? You always had that dog in you, right? Like you're just going to find a way to make it happen. You had natural ability, but you didn't really know what you were doing. Right. But you were a sponge. So I would always rather have the person that's going to put in the work than just the natural talent, because at the end of the day, you can't teach people work ethic.
And it's the consistency. Gilly would be up one month, then he'd be down one month, whereas the other guy was pretty consistent every month. I think I would say I'm a good mix of the two, don't you?
Oh, I would agree. 100%.
So that would make me the best. No?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You have to believe you're the best if you're in sales. If you don't, then you're already in trouble, right?
Well, look at us. We've said multiple times in this hour that you think you're the best salesperson ever. I think I'm the best salesperson ever. So, you do have to have that.
If you don't believe in it, then you never can be.
Yeah. All right. Give one piece of advice for somebody just starting in sales. One. I'm
going to give one thing that one of my greatest mentors always told me is just be a sponge and immediate implement. So it's two parts, but it is one answer. You have to absorb, but then you have to implement. So you have to be able to be a sponge, watch top people, right? Stand on the shoulder of giants, right? Like, don't try to recreate the wheel. Look at the best people, what they do, right? And that's probably why I'm a little biased to Hassan, because when I first came into the media company, he was the top guy.
Yeah.
I broke his record the first month there. Right? Literally broke his record.
So that makes you better than him.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if I broke records of other people that were there, that makes me better than them.
Yeah.
I actually want to go back to something. I was starting to wrap up, but since we're here, something that I always go back to, you taught me this, that I don't think enough managers do, is empowering people. So why don't you talk a little bit about how you think Scott empowered both of us? And I'm sure Angie would agree too.
Yeah. I mean, I think that quality in him as a leader shaped how both you and I are just in our roles, with our work ethic, how we operate today. It very much was like we got in there. He knew that we, were willing to put in the work, willing to learn. He would say,
I knew you had half a brain.
And he really just kind of let us have at it. Like, he would just throw us into a situation and be like, figure this out. I know you can do it. What are you going to do? We'd listen here and there to stuff that he did, but for the most part, we were like thrown into the deep end. And that's how we learned to be as good as we are today.
And if we would go with a question, you would say, what do you think you should do?
Yep.
So where did you get that level of, like, you just let go and trust people?
So I had some bad leaders and I watched them try to micromanage everything. So I can't be micromanaged. Like, I won't be. So I knew if I had a player that if I tried to micromanage them, just like me, they're not going to respond well to it. So I want them to be able to connect the dots, as I like to say. Okay, hey, we need this to go happen. Go figure it out. And if you need some help, ask. If not, then what you're doing is you're trying to control everything, and then nobody ends up growing. So you'll never be able to step away because your team doesn't grow. So if the ultimate goal is for you to continue to move up, you have to train people or give people the opportunity to replace you, right? And I think that's what I did with you ladies probably the best is, I mean, there was a point that I didn't really have to be there anymore. And I think that's part of why I wasn't there anymore, right? Was, we have this huge team and didn't really need Scott anymore. Or so they thought, right?
We know how that went.
But, I needed you.
You know what I mean? I think it's really, you have to trust the team. And then once you show them that you trust them, I think both of you ladies and you, Ange, immediately gravitated toward that because you're the right people.
Mm-hmm.
So if you let people kind of figure it out on their own, so I'll give you a saying if you like it that I always say, I'm going to throw your ass in the deep end. Two things are going to happen. You're going to sink to the bottom like a rock. My life raft doesn't help you. You're at the bottom. You're not even fighting. Or you're going to fight and battle, and I'm there to save you when needed, right? So one or the other is going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think people love to micromanage, and
it's
it's
the worst trait.
It is. And something you said probably on my first day that I always remember and like try to say to our team now is no matter what you do, mistake wise, I can fix it. Because it's true. No, there's nothing anyone could do on our team with a client, anything that we can't fix.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just that alone, it like gives you the freedom to say, okay, it's not a big deal if I make a mistake, we can fix it.
Yes. And you learn more from mistakes than you do from success, right? So at the end of the day, it's kind of like if you go, I'm a big sports guy. So if you go shoot basket, right, and you miss 10 shots in a row, you've learned from those 10 shots. You're now better on your 11th shot than you were on shot 3. But if somebody's like, do this, why aren't you doing this? And they're literally up your ass, right? And you can't learn on your own, then you don't grow and you stand still. And in this world, that means you're going backwards.
What advice would you give to a brand new sales manager?
Find the top person in that, sales manager.
Sales manager.
Oh, okay, sales manager. Find your top people and make sure you build a really good relationship with them, because that's who you're going to build your team off of, right? It's kind of like when you have a Michael Jordan. Well, you better realize you have a Michael Jordan and you better empower that Michael Jordan, because the team's going to go, wow, they're not even letting Michael Jordan, the top person here, have freedom. That means they're never going to let me have freedom. So I would say this: find your top people, build a really good relationship, pick their brain. Why are you the top person? Yeah. What are you doing? And don't think you have all the answers, right? As a leader, that's a big mistake a lot of people make, is they think they know everything. I don't know everything. I learn from new people sometimes, right? Like brand new. If I hear it or I see it, why not? Great. Yeah. That's another tool in my tool belt to make me that much better. So it's also being a little bit humble and not so arrogant that you think that just because I'm at the top, that you can't learn from other people.
Yeah. What like Scottisms am I missing?
Oh, I've been thinking of one that is a staple Scottism. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Speak on that a little.
Yeah, it's kind of like throwing in the deep end a little bit. But here's the thing, because in business, it doesn't matter what you're doing. There's going to be some turbulence, right? Let's call it, right? So you have to be able to handle that. So I like to throw that at people early and see how they respond to it, right? And then just keep empowering them. And kind of like what you said it perfectly. I love that. There is no mistake that you can make. So,
well, you said that to me.
Right.
No wonder you love
said it first.
Yeah. Screw up, because then I'm going to teach you, hey, did you see why this didn't happen? If you do this and then go do it again, right? And then be there to support them, not just constantly. You got to make people feel like it's this, not I'm up here, they're down here, because nobody wants to work for somebody that thinks they're just so much better than they are, right? So again, that's where the cocky and confidence, that line comes. You have to humble yourself. And, being comfortable being uncomfortable also applies in life. Think about it. We've all been in situations before that we feel uncomfortable. You get to the point where you're never nervous anymore. You're nervous, but you're confident. I'm nervous coming into a podcast. I do live events all the time. I speak in front of people all the time. So it's okay to be a little bit nervous, but you want to thrive to that. You want to gravitate to it. Where some people are like, oh, that makes me nervous, so I'm not going to do it. If it makes you nervous, good. That means you're growing. Right? That's the only way to grow.
Love it. Ange, any Scottisms that you would like us to touch on?
It just reminded me of when I was in a leadership role. We used to have to do morning meetings, and each day was a different department. And I think it was Wednesdays, was my department, and I'd have to go up in front of, I almost just said the full class, but everyone in the company and give updates on basically what was going on in the department. And I would walk in on Wednesdays and be like, Scott, I don't want to do it. And he'd be like, you don't really have a choice. And I'm like, well, we always have a choice, because he used to say that too. You always have a choice. So I'd be like, oh, should I leave then? Or should I just do it? Can you do it? But yeah, he would always make it known that you do always have a choice too. Like, you're not stuck doing something.
Yeah.
But yeah, even if the biggest thing was the uncomfortable thing.
Yeah, he loves making people like lead a meeting they don't want to lead. Remember? I would rather be dead than public speak still.
Even right now, I was just nervous talking. So,
but those were hard too, because for you or I to come in and try to lead a sales meeting that he typically was running in his very specific style, we were a joke to them. It was like,
they were like,
go sit down, sweetie.
Yeah. But think about it. Look where you ladies are now, right? So I always say this, if you're just going to not let people do things that make them uncomfortable, then how are they going to grow? Right. So as much as Ange hated it, by the end, right, her 10th time doing it, she was that much better. And she'd still be nervous. She'd still every once in a while, right? But ultimately, she got so much more confident, and you could see the belief in herself started getting higher, right? And you ladies too, right? Like I think of it. I mean, Martina came in just like a ball of fire, right? Like, I'm going to come in. Oh my God, I'm going to be amazing, right? But she didn't know what the hell she was doing, right? But she was going to find a way to make it happen. So I knew I had the right person. So I had to let her grow her wings, right? I had to let Carla grow her wings, right? And you both had your own strengths and you both had your own areas of opportunity, right? That's the other thing. I don't like to call anything a weakness. Yeah. Something I got to get better at, right? Because some of my greatest areas of opportunity are now my biggest strengths, right? The first time I ever public spoke, had to do public speaking, was at a Better Business Bureau meeting in Indianapolis. Well, I had done like public speaking with you guys and like the team. The plane's running late, so we get there late, of course. Okay, and I'll just say her name was Jen. Yeah. Okay. We get there and I see the guy in front of me that's speaking in front of me. He's already up there. I'm up in 15 minutes. Okay. I don't have my suit on, nothing, because we're running late. I go, get me a Jack and Coke, and I go up to the next floor. I took a 30-second blasting cold shower, just blasted myself cold, got on the suit, went down there. And I was so nervous. Like, I thought I was going to bomb it. And by the end, we were doing cocktails afterwards. Everybody kept coming up to me and they're like, who are you? Like, what's your name? And so,
well, I'm a little drunk. I'm cold. And I just got here.
Right. But, my thing was my voice. I was going to, even if I wasn't confident, I was going to make sure nobody knew that. Right. So again, back to how you sound. I might say some dumbass shit, but I'm going to sound confident as hell doing it. Right? I actually did this at an event one time. I had people on the yes train so much that I said something like that was completely wrong. And I'm like, you guys with me? And they're all like, yeah, yeah. And then I go, can anybody tell me what I just said? And I'm not kidding. There was probably 700-800 people at this. They all just looked at me like, nobody could tell me what I just said. Right? Because I had just gotten them. So it didn't matter the words that came out of my mouth. It mattered how it came across.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's so you. Yeah. I feel like so much of myself is explained by you in the workplace, because there's been so many times when I'll say something and one of the girls is like, what, are you sure? Because you sounded so confident, but I'm pretty sure that's wrong. And I'm like, I don't know. Is it?
Yeah.
Sometimes. Sounded good.
Yeah. It goes back to confidence.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I have a fun question.
Yeah.
I want to hear from Scott. What was your favorite thing about working with each one of us?
Wow. Okay. I would say Angelina. I'll start her because I worked with her most recently. I would just say, even in the times when she was really, really frustrated, it was very rarely did I ever see her when I came into the office that she didn't have a smile on her face and she didn't have that go-getter mentality. Right. And actually, that's when I knew it was time for her to go, was when I started to not see that as much, right? And most people, when you lose somebody like Ange, would be like, what do I got to do to keep you? And I'm like, good, girl, go, right? Like, go, because I knew it was the right thing for her. She just always, she brought a cheer to the room that I enjoyed. She had a, very positive attitude. So I would say that.
Gonna make me cry.
Yeah, I miss that for sure, right? That, I don't want to say comfortable feeling because I never like to feel comfortable. I think it's good to feel uncomfortable. But she definitely brought that to the room, something I'm not going to bring, right? I'm not the warm, fuzzy guy, right? Like, nobody's going to call me that, right? She definitely brought that part of it. Carla, I would just say, I mean, I think you're just a businesswoman all around, right? Like, the best way I could say it. And when she has a task to go after, nobody's going to stop her, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I'd say, hey, Carla, I know you've never done this before, but go do these 3 things. And she'd figure out a damn way to get it done, right? And didn't ask me 42 dumbass questions, right? Like, even if she didn't know the answer, she'd be like, screw it, I'll ask somebody else, but I'm not going to show Scott I need his help, right? So I really, really enjoyed working with Carla because I felt like I didn't have to babysit at all. like at all. I could just say, go, boom, let her do her job. And then she'd come back and say, hey, what'd you think of this? What'd you think of that? But if you had to put in a dictionary, businesswoman, right? Just businesswoman, right? Like you just had your shit together. I wasn't organized back then. So you also were extremely organized and helped me on that as well. Martina, I would say, you're like a female version of me, the closest that I've ever worked with, right?
That's a compliment because,
it's the truth. Like it reminded me a lot of myself. And I think I told you that a lot. When she came in, she had no clue what she was doing. I had no clue what I was doing, right? But she was a firecracker and she was going to find a way. And she was so driven and she truly believed that I'm going to be successful one way or another. So, I miss that attitude, that chip on her shoulder. Like I always got something to prove to everybody that I'm the best, right? Even now, she's still I'm the best, right? And I always like to say that too, right? I was a sports player. I wasn't the biggest guy on the planet. So I always had a chip on my shoulder. I always had something to prove to make sure everybody knew that I was the baddest out there. I don't care how big you were. So, that I probably missed the most of you was just amazing personality, amazing work ethic.
I liked what you said about how I used to work till 7, 8 at night, because that is true. And you were there and you were there. And sometimes, well, not sometimes, I don't work a full day ever anymore. And I'm like, should I be here more? Should I be here more? And then I remember I was there till 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah. You put in the work.
Yeah. The best sales advice ever comes from you always. So I know this was very helpful to anyone that listened. Mm-hmm. Any last things you guys want to add? Or any last thing you want to add? What do you want to leave us with?
Yeah, we'll just say this. Always remember, right? Everything starts in between your ears, right? Life is good, right? No matter what's happening out in the world, the rates, the cost of things, stop worrying about all that nonsense. Stop listening to the fear mongering, right? That's what I like to call it on social media. Panic, 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 right? Just believe in yourself. You're above ground. You're breathing, right? So if that's the case and you're healthy, attack your day. So I know it's a very simple saying, but I like to attack my day. This is my day. I'm coming after it. I'm not going to let my day attack me, right? And nothing's going to phase me. It's going to bounce off of me. Or as I used to like to tell you ladies, it's going to like a grain of salt. Like I'm just going to brush that shit off. Nobody's going to affect my mood. Nobody's going to put me in a bad situation. Nobody's going to make me doubt myself. Bring all the challenges you want, because if you truly believe in yourself, you want the challenges. That's how you excel. So
I love it. Thank you so much. This was the best. You are the best.
Thank you.
Yeah. We'll see you next time.
So fun.
Wherever you are. Wherever the camera is.